Been awesome, and thanks for joining us again for another coffee catch up with awesome people. I again have my coffee, courtesy of the coffee club this week, and I'm with an awesome person, Amanda from Fierce Females. So thanks for joining me.
Pleasure. Thanks
Even
for having
though
me.
she's only drinking tea because she's a fierce female and fit and healthy and all that stuff. And you like peppermint tea. Yeah.
I like peppermint tea and I don't like coffee. That's it.
So you're an awesome individual doing awesome things.
Thank you.
And what we like to do is for you to be able to share some of that with our audience. So let me start the way I normally start with. Amanda, tell us some of the good that you're doing.
So Fierce Females, we're a women's self-defense and empowerment charity. We work with victims of crime and anyone who's experienced violence of any type, and as well as working in schools and universities running prevention programs.
Sure.
Because if we can get ahead of it rather than dealing with it in the aftermath, that's always the best way to deal with problems, I think.
That's fantastic.
Get ahead of it.
Yeah. So another thing is that you're fairly new to the Firefly membership.
We are.
So before we get to, asking you a little bit about what Firefly's doing for your charity, give us a little more detail about some of the things that you do in relation to your space, and how you help those individuals that have had some trouble in their life.
Absolutely. So to keep it simple, we combine like some psychological, neurobiological knowledge and combine that with some physical MMA, mixed martial arts techniques and skills, and combine them together to start to provide a holistic solution. And I hate using the word holistic, is the woo-woo, but a multimodal, a multimodal aspect of attacking the issue of violence. Because when we look at the physical skills are really important, to get out of the situation. But a whole lot of things happens before it gets physical. And for us, we want to make sure everyone's understanding, the what, the where, the why, the how these situations happen, so you can de-escalate it, negotiate and handle it early. And I like to work with like a framework of, if you act early, you can act small. I can still be quite polite and I can do these things, but then the later I leave it, the worse the situation gets, and the worse tools or the more severe tools that I have to use. And now I'm having to physically defend myself, where before I may have been able to do it with just my words or just my distance management. So, and also I think when you understand violence and you start to understand, some very simple things like the motivations behind it, I can never control you or anyone else. The only person I can control is me. But if I can understand the situation, I can then make better informed decisions about that, because I now know what's going on and I've got a tool and some knowledge and some actionable things that I can do once I'm faced with it. So we're trying to equip women and remove the myth that women shouldn't, wouldn't and can't protect themselves. And we can. And we can take decisive action and we can do things about it that don't mean we have to, noisy first, but we don't have to become something that we're not. I don't have to become a savage beast to be able to defend myself. Firm boundaries, actions and consequences. I can change the outcome without having to change who I am. I'm not a different person. I just do different things now when I'm faced with things. So that's kind of
it's kind of a short-term summary, right?
Yeah.
So listening to you, and obviously you're quite passionate about that process, and it's one of those things that we've noticed that there is a time in all founders' lives where it says, this is the difference I'm going to make.
Yeah.
So what was that moment for you when you went, this is what I'm going to do with my life?
This is what I'm going to do. So I'd been teaching martial arts for a long time and working in film industry and teaching lots of people. So I'd been teaching, like the act of teaching, the content is, I'd been doing for a long time. And then I was a victim of some emotional violence with some intimate partner violence. And one of the big understandings for me, like I didn't quite understand, I was like, hey, I'm a physical savage. And so of course, my ex never would physically hurt me, but he used all the other coercive control tools, to financially put me out, to isolate me from my friends, to make me start doubting who I was, why I was, what I believed in. Everything I believed in was wrong, and I shouldn't, wouldn't, and couldn't. And so my own touch point with that, while I was out in the world being a strong, those noisy crows.
I know, right? And the worst part about it is that you won't hear anything else but crows.
Yes, you'll hear crows.
So we apologise for the background noise and the interjection from the crows, especially at a really important part of the story.
So, and I went through, the learning journey. So I partnered with a psychologist, and I wanted to understand, like, how did it get here from, having a nice relationship and then it becoming, what I thought was a nice one, right? And how did it devolve, and how did I get here, and what role am I playing in this being this? And so went on this big learning journey and got all the information and education and reframed how I thought about things. And in talking to the psychologist, I remember I said to her one day, look, why is this not taught in schools, unis? Like and even in martial arts gyms, in martial arts gyms, you learn, is it okay if I touch you for a second? Once a hand is laid, you learn exactly what to do. But while I'm sitting here and I'm not touching you, well, what's the technique for that? But maybe I'm intimidating. So, martial arts schools, they're exceptional at what they do. They're teaching you what to do once it gets physical. But, at this point, what do I do? And maybe when I enter the coffee shop, what do I do? And if I start intimidating or scaring you, how do we start changing that? Or when I see a red flag, that my intuition is like, red flag. I've got no evidence necessarily to prove that, but I don't like the way I'm feeling. And how do we act then? So, and that's going back to acting early and acting small. And so, and she was like, it's not really taught, and a lot of them are, it's communication skills, understanding some very basic psychology concepts. And I was like, hey, what if we taught both of them? Because it's nice to have, the gentler, softer tools for the gentler, softer situations, but we also need the stronger tools for the stronger situations. And so I was like, no one does this and brings them together. And then the other thing that I became really aware of is I was a female martial artist, and there's not many of us, right? Just generally speaking, but I had to learn those skills in a male-dominated environment. Right? So I had to, be wrestling and fighting and training with a male coach teaching from a male perspective. And I had to be in a room full of males. And I was very well aware that any sexual assault victim, any woman that's doing it, the last thing they want to do is go and train with guys. And so I was like, can I get that knowledge and that knowledge, put it into a program, and then create a safe, beautiful space? And what I mean by beautiful is, not to harp on stinky boys that are sweaty and gross, but create a clean, pretty space with plants and some fresh air and some nice, and there's only female coaches. So teaching from a female perspective, because not all techniques work when you're the smaller person in the situation. So teaching from a female perspective with a female coach, with female clients in a clean space that doesn't stink. There's not scary men with tattoos, and it's not dirty, and I'm not going to tell you to harden up. I'm going to sit in your space and meet you where you are, and then we'll build a path out of it. So I wanted to not remove the knowledge that is locked in male-dominated dojos. Can we pluck that out and put it into a female space? Because all it is physics and anatomy. Right? But that knowledge it's held hostage and isolated in dojos of all different styles. And it's like, this is our secret knowledge. And then it's also put behind a paywall. You have to pay to gain access to this. And I'm like, how about we remove that paywall and make it a safe space where women can learn, and then we can start changing the outcomes of these situations. Because women are intelligent. Like, I may not be strong, and I may not be bigger than you, but that doesn't mean I'm not smarter than you. And I can't outthink you in this situation. And so if we can change that, that's where it's all about. So sorry, it's long-winded, but
it's fantastic. It's I hear you, and I understand that we do have these societal issues and norms and standards, And I think more than anything, kudos to you for breaking down some of those barriers.
Thanks.
And for empowering more people. Like, not just empowering the women that you work with, but empowering more guys to understand.
Absolutely.
That it's not always going to be this way.
No.
So let's have a look at the attitudes that we potentially can modify and adjust accordingly. So I think it's fantastic. So,
thank you.
So like I said, and again, I struggle in our space dealing with everybody in the volunteer community, not to find awesome people, but I continue to be amazed at some of the things that you do. Like we had a conversation not long ago, and both Courtney and myself were blown away. We had an organisation join called the Multi-Birth Association. So these are mothers that have all had multiple births, either twins, triplets, whatever, who then decide to volunteer to help other mothers that are in that same position.
Yep.
From pregnancy right through to coming at home and working through that. And we were like, why is there there's a charity that does this? Do you know what I mean? And not only that, this charity has 43 different what they call clubs or branches around Australia.
That's awesome.
That's about somewhere between, I think it's 1,300 and 1,600 mums who have already got kids running around.
They've
all
got
over
their
the place.
own
Like, it just does my head in. And yours is another one of those organisations that just go, wow, like it's really good that's there, but you'd never think there is one.
Yeah.
So a couple of things we want to be able to do, and obviously with all our volunteer community, is help advocate what you do because they're great. So what can our community do to help you?
I think the biggest thing is helping us get that message out there that, when you say self-defense, people come up with a picture.
Sure.
They've already decided what you are, and that you're teaching people to beat up people, and we're punching and kicking and doing all those sorts of things. Like our program is so much more than that, and that is one small element. But no, we're not punching and kicking. Like, yes, you can use a kick to push someone off you, but we're not training people to punch and kick. We're training
to attack, right?
Yeah, we're not training to attack. We work from the framework, create an opportunity to escape.
Right.
And I may have to do one thing to create an opportunity to escape. I may have to do 5 things to create an opportunity to escape. But it's always about creating an opportunity to escape. And also not about saying you are isolated in this, so still using the other services. So when we look at activating help, call for 000, get help coming.
Sure.
Yes, we're going to do that. But you've now got 10 minutes at minimum where it's just you and your perpetrator. So what do we do here? And that's what we're trying to do. But, a big thing for us is remove this myth that we're yelling and screaming and making you do push-ups while holding a bag and kicking you for an hour and making you a sweaty mess. So, that's not what we're doing. And that we're person-centered, so we meet our clients where they are and work with them around their specific issues. So that we're not providing this like, this is the way you do it. We're like, okay, in your situation, this might work this way. In your situation, you've got a very different problem, a very different perpetrator with very different motivations. So, we're really person-centered about our approach. So help with, number one, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, sure.
And oh gosh, there's so many things we need help with. So where to start? Some skilled volunteers to help us, because we're a really small team, and unfortunately I've got the wrong people doing the wrong jobs, if that kind of makes sense.
And that's not something that we find as being unique to you in the sector. Well. So just a quick shout out now to any of the volunteer space. We had a quick chat earlier in relation to some of those things. Any of the volunteers out there that have got an hour or two up their sleeve and then would like to help Amanda and her team, in the bookkeeping area or in just general admin and all that sort of stuff, just reach out. They're fantastic. Obviously, the same as all our orgs that we're looking at, fundraising and sponsorship opportunities. So if you want to get behind,
absolutely anything,
and support financially as well.
$5, anything is good.
Because here's the unique thing, right? So you have all your clients that come to you because of a particular circumstance and cause. that you don't charge.
Correct.
Yeah.
So all our victims of crime that get referred to us, so we have lots of referral agencies, all the local ones around the Gold Coast and Queensland Police as well. So they come in, they get free services. But unfortunately, we've got rent to pay,
Sure.
all the on costs, the normal. So we need to be able to keep our doors open.
Yeah.
And then to get enough people. So Queensland Police were wanting to refer us 1,500 women a day.
What?
A day. 1,500 women a day. So the need is there, and we just don't have the capacity to meet that need. So, and we want to build it, but I need to stop having trainers that should be with clients sitting doing bookwork.
Yeah, okay. So look, I'm giving another shout out now. If anyone else is in any other part of Australia and wants to reach out,
please,
and potentially become a fierce female advocate in the area as well.
Absolutely.
Growth and opportunity is the only way that we're actually going to spread the message.
Absolutely.
So if you want to get physical and learn how to protect yourself and others in these environments that we never want to deal with, but unfortunately in society they happen. Then jump on the website.
Facebook, Instagram.
Track a number down if you need to. Give me a call. I'll pass the number on. So now we've heard a little bit about you.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, you're one of the newer members to the Firefly platform.
We are.
Tell me, one, how did you hear about us? What do you think about it? How's the platform been working for you?
Okay, 3 questions. Let me see if I can remember them all. So we heard about you, I think, through the Gold Coast Youth Service newsletter.
Right, there you go.
I think it was those guys. And I was like, what's this? Clicked on it and wandered down and initially I was like, oh my goodness, this is a way I can give back to my volleys. Not me, well, you guys, the people who are supporting us, because as a founder, the biggest thing that, my guilty conscience and the weight of your volleys, they come and help. And, we try not to overload our volunteers. We try not to burn them out. But how do I give back for the hundreds of hours that my trainers and coaches and all our volunteers are doing? They're not doing their paid work so that they can do this free work. And, if I can give them, log some hours, it will allow, get a Coles voucher, get a discount off your groceries this week, if we, in that. And another thing that, I don't even know if you're aware of, but for us, it's been really awesome, is with my volunteers logging the hours, it's a way that we can data record the hours, which gives me something to go back to when we're looking for grants and we're looking for these things. I can go, we've got thousands of hours. There is a definite need here. So we didn't quite have a way. I mean, I know I want to, but we weren't there yet, of a way to record the amount of hours that were being volunteered towards the organisation. And it's terrifying, almost, the amount that we've seen. Like, I'm seeing, I'm like, oh my God, look how many hours have been done volunteer, and this is not sustainable for us. So we need to get into a sustainability model of that. But, it's given us an ability to get data as well.
Look, and thanks for saying that. I mean, and that wasn't rehearsed. We didn't advocate that. One of the things that we didn't set out to do, which was to create a rewarding platform. We set out to create a reward platform. And to be able to do that relative to social impact is that we needed to have the data. It just so happens to turn out that a lot of the smaller organisations that can't afford, your volunteer software management
we don't have any of that.
That are finding it quite useful, quite scary at some times.
Yeah.
So you go,
we've done that many hours.
It's one of those real things, and we're like everybody else in the community out there that maybe not, having all their volunteers on platform and loading all the hours. We think it's one of the major contributors, especially in grant writing and sponsorship, because if we don't know what the impact that your charity makes to the community, look, we all know, and there is this invisible layer of volunteer support that keeps our communities running. But the general public don't really understand that. They don't look for it. It just happens. The volunteers are all these sort of invisible ninjas that turn up, do all the stuff they need to do
it and then disappear
into the darkness of night, and they're doing a fantastic job and are providing the backbone. I said to a group the other day I was talking to that that volunteering is the biggest industry sector in the world. There is not another industry sector in Australia, not the Motor Traders Association, not hospitality, not farming and agriculture. If I put all the people that work in those sectors together, the volunteering sector is 4 times bigger than any other industry sector in Australia.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when you think about that from a ramification of if we don't have volunteers, then what happens?
Yeah. It all shuts down.
Yeah.
It all stops.
So as one of those advocacies, and thanks Amanda for bringing that out, and it's now turned into, and we're really excited about the new app, which has a whole heap more functionality relative to helping you with admin and data.
Okay.
Our tech team's done an unbelievable job. We've got some really crazy tech. I'm not old guy, so I'm not I'm not the real tech guy. But they've created this crazy platform using AI, and we like to say, Courtney, and thanks God that he is such the tech head. I mean, he is an innovation specialist, and his inquisitive brain about what's happening has found us all this stuff. So to cut a long story short, they've built an AI tool into our data management system where you can just open the app and go, give me every volunteer hour for the last year that was done on Tuesday. There's a report.
Oh, awesome.
Crazy, right?
That's awesome.
So, not to tease anyone out there, but that's coming.
I'm excited.
So, and now, how have you found it as far as logging hours and all those sorts of things?
So easy. And a big thing that I've found really cool, we're all running around like headless chickens, so that my volunteers can log their own hours. So it's not me having to log it on their behalf. They log in, they log their hours. I just get a little notification and go, did they do that? And I go, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So it actually takes one thing off my list.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? It's one thing off my list, and at the end of the day, I get my notification. I go, yeah, no, yeah. Right? So that's very easy.
Sure.
It's very time efficient for me, and it takes a task off my my list.
Hey, look, it's one of the key conditions about, the start of our program that Courtney and I looked at. Over the last decade, we've lost 1 million volunteers in the sector. There's 1 million people that don't volunteer anymore. And there's a whole heap of reasons, socioeconomic pressure, being burnt out, not being acknowledged and appreciated. So there's a whole gamut of things, and one of the things that Volunteer Australia's national strategy tries to address is those particular issues and how do we combat that. So when you look at that, we went, those are the issues, right? It's the overburden of, I'm happy to do this, but now you want me to do this and this and this and this. And then we go, okay, and now legislation is changing, and it becomes, involved, and all those people that deal with youth, and now there's all blue card compliance.
Yes, checks, and all of a sudden it starts becoming too hard.
Thank you to our pollies, we are the most administered country in the world. Like, we have more legislation and red tape than anybody I've ever seen to jump through. So it's another layer of admin burden.
Yes.
So one of the things we thought is, if we can create a simple model, and again, the new app, even simpler than what it is now, because we appreciate that. Our life is not to try and make volunteers' life harder.
Yeah, don't give them another thing to do.
Yeah, don't give them another thing. So it's great that you appreciate that we're getting close. So,
already it's doing that for us.
Yeah, really good.
So thank you.
So a couple of questions just before we tidy up. Is there anything that you could see, having used the app now, that we could do to make it better? Good answer. Moving on.
Yeah, no, nothing comes to. It's easy to log on. It's easy for my volleys to do it, and not all my volunteers are computer literate, if we want to say that. So, my older generation that are helping out, I just set them up, but then they were good to go. They're like, log on, and go, I can do that. Yeah. It's seamless for me to then approve, and then I don't think about it. And the fact that they can, get their own rewards themselves again. It's not like they have to come to me to go to the reward cupboard and get it out. It's like, you choose what works for you in your lifestyle, and you do that, and you can, you're not seeking constant approval and valid, does the boss sign off on that? I'm like, no, you did the hours, and now you go spend it on whatever you want. however you want.
Yeah, sure.
I got nothing. I got no constructive
No,
feedback.
okay, great. Okay, so last question, because you know your volleys, as you call them. Is there anything that you think that we could add to the marketplace that would make it more attractive to them? Like, what sort of things, if you talk about it, if you haven't, that's great, but if you talk about, like, what sort of rewards, because we have, and one of the connectivity pieces is that we have lots of small businesses that want to say thank you and support volunteers. They don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So we wanted to create a simple platform for them as well to be able to go, here's our way of saying thank you. It's a 10% discount, or it's $20 off if you spend this with us. Anything that tries to make the volunteer's life a bit easier and a bit more enjoyable. Yeah. So if you can
a few things. They're probably really obvious ones, but your bread and butters. So like being able to get discounts on groceries, petrol, those sorts of things, because also that's what my volunteers are spending to get to us to do the service. Like I can't pay for her car, I can't give her petrol money, but she's driving all the way to Brisbane. So if she can get a discount on her petrol to do that, so that they're the things that not only give back to the volley, but also give back to the charity. So all of those basic needs. But another one that I've noticed is I've got quite a few mother volunteers. And while they're doing volunteer work for us, it might be time that they're not spending with their children, or they're not earning money to buy things for the children. So, in our world, and I know this is just our perspective, but if she can be buying things for her children, buying experiences for her children, discounted for children's things, that would, because a lot of my mums, they're like, oh, we don't need that, but I do need new school books.
The nature of volunteers, right? They think about other people before themselves.
They're thinking of it. So, and grandma's thinking about something for the grandchildren, not for themselves. So, stuff for kids, I guess.
I know. It's so funny. I had a conversation with a club president just the other day. I said, why have you stopped lighting your hours? He goes, oh, it's so bad. I went, what? He goes, well,
it's not why I do it.
It's not why I do it. And I felt like, I shouldn't maybe get anything. And he goes, oh, look, I know I should. So he has his own internal battle going on.
I know I should, but I should be taking from someone else.
Our model doesn't say just because you load your hours and you record those and they're validated and it indicates, what sort of a human being you are, that you are forced to take any rewards. Like our model doesn't say you have to take a reward or a discount. Otherwise, shame on you. No, it's not that at all. It's you are going to volunteer because you volunteer.
Yes.
You're going to volunteer because you
care.
The natural core value says I am prepared to do good things for other people. And there is businesses and major brands that appreciate that. So, you don't have to take a reward. That's the concept. They're there.
The question is, can you take the reward and redeem it to someone else? Could a volunteer, they've earned their hours, they've got their voucher. Are they able to transfer that voucher or that discount?
So like your mum volunteers, right? If they've got kids at cinema age, reward, redeem the cinema tickets into the kids,
and then they go. So we can transfer
them. But look, we're also in the new app as well. There's a platform there that volunteers can take the rewards and give that back to their charity. As well as say, no, I'm happy to do the work that I do. And I want the charity to benefit.
I didn't know that.
We've actually created two sides to that. So the charities and the not-for-profit organisations in our passive fundraising and sponsorship line should be looked after. So you don't have to. So you don't have to give your back to the charity. But look, it's we had the analogy, and I gave it to a footy club. And when they say, oh no, we don't really do rewards, and I don't think our volunteers. I said, listen, if I turned up and there was 40 volunteers working in the hot sun up here on the Gold Coast, it's humid, it's hot, and I turned up with a can of Coke, a sandwich, a packet of chips and an ice cream, and said, I just want to say thank you on behalf of these suppliers for the work that they're doing. Would you let me give it to them, or will you tell me to nick off? And he said, well, of course I'd let them get to it. That's what our model's about. It's letting people who want to say thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing. All those people that need your services and just been awesome. So
I'm humbled and embarrassed.
Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure.
Thanks for sharing a cuppa. And to all our volunteers, we'll see you next time. And who knows, maybe you are the next awesome person that I'll be having a cup of coffee with. Anyway, thanks for everything you do in the community. Again, thanks, Amanda, for joining me
Pleasure.
today. And we'll talk to you all again soon.
Bye.